in the Nadia they had Gangadas Pandit's group, then you had the other Pandits group. So many tolls were there, many Sanskrit. So Nimai Pandit, he had his own group. So sometimes they would fight with the other students in the other group. So here's what they would do. Words were slung, they would slung words at each other, they would curse words, say, you don't know anything about Sanskrit, you know the first thing about Sanskrit roots or dhatus or this or that or anything? And then the other would say, yes, but you don't know anything about Nyaya. And they would start arguing back and forth. You're a fool, you can't argue with anyone, you can't convince anyone, you're completely illogical, all your presentations are always refuted, what kind of logician are you? So the Brahmins would fight each other back and forth with words. Now if that didn't work, then they would start throwing ink. So the boys were fighting, the different students were fighting with words, and they would start throwing ink on each other. So they'd have like a holy with each other, start throwing ink on each other. So we haven't gotten to that level. Then they would start wrestling and tussling with each other and roll on the ground. But the all-powerful Vishwambar always won these quarrels. Covered with dust and ink, Lord Chaitanya looked very enchanting. So when Lord Chaitanya would come home, he would be covered with ink. Ink would be all over his golden face and all kinds of dust, and his mother would say, what happened? What happened to you? Oh, we got in a fight with some of the other pundits. We fought with the pundits. Of course, he always won. After finishing his studies at noon, the Lord would go to the Ganges and bathe. Kicking his feet, Vishwambar would splash people on the shore and break their meditations. Because as explained in the, throughout any yoga shastras, that the best place to do meditation is in front of deities, in front of your Thakurji, or in a mountain, on the mountaintop, or on the banks of a river. Because these places are charged with vibrations. From the bank of the Ganges, many yogis would go there and sit on the bank of the Ganges, as they do in Vrindavan and Yamuna and different places. And they do smaran or meditation. Very quiet. Can you speak a little quietly? I feel like when Shukadeva Goswami's father ran after him, all he could hear was the echo coming from the trees. He was calling out, my son, and it came back, my son, my son. It's so loud. Can you go somewhere? It's like, it's too much. So then he would kick his feet, and so people were meditating, and he would splash water on them. He would kick his feet and splash water on the yogis, on the banks. And then sometimes Lord Chaitanya would go to them and spit on them. Can you imagine? Spit on, he's a Brahmin, he's not a Shudra. And he would go to these people that were meditating, these yogis and different people were meditating, and he would spit on them. So how fortunate that would be, because the spit of the Lord is called Adara Amrita. Adara Amrita. Nectar, the nectar from the lips. So this is what makes prasadam so special, is the spit of the Lord. So actually it's a great fortune. Can you imagine how fortunate that yogi must have been to be spit on by the Lord? Then one level on a social level, a level of etiquette, you're thinking, oh, this is very bad. It was actually a great fortune.